Hi, welcome back to Tim's Garage. I'm Tim, and we are continuing with the Saturn Sky project. So last time when we talked about the project, I explained that I was looking to upgrade the Saturn Sky, putting on a larger intercooler, a larger turbo, and freer flowing charge tubes. And I started into the project thinking that it was going to be a pretty complicated project, having to remove the front bumper cover. And what I found is that swapping out the intercooler has turned out to be a very easy task. So as a matter of fact, all that's needed to be removed is this panel right here. And there's two pieces here. One is the lower ground effect, the scraper, and then there's the belly pan that fits underneath the intercooler to provide the airflow through the intercooler from the front bumper opening, which is right here. So air moves through here, is caught in this, the intercooler hangs in this opening, and it literally just drops from this cavity that's right back here. Now, one thing I did notice about the red lines is that they're pretty darn low. And if you're not careful, as the previous owner showed, you can scrub the lower belly pan, and that is exactly where the intercooler lower mounts sit. And if you hit something hard enough, you're going to crush the lower portion of your intercooler because it's only a very short distance above that. Now, in removing the intercooler, I did break one of the tabs. I was a little careless, and unfortunately, the piece that I broke, I'll have to plastic weld that back onto the other component before I attach it back onto the vehicle. But when you're removing this, this piece here comes off first, and secondarily you remove this piece. I got a little overzealous, and the plastic is pretty fragile and it broke. So I'll repair that and put that back in, but that's a pretty minor thing. The best part of this is the differences in the intercoolers. So right here we have the stock intercooler, which is a pretty decent piece. And if you look carefully, you can notice that the new intercooler is significantly wider, and it's also significantly deeper. The factory intercooler has what looks like, I'll just flip this one this way so they look kind of the same. The factory intercooler has these hoses on the bottom, and I can't for the life of me think what that's for, other than perhaps catching fluid that may develop or accumulate in this so it freezes. It doesn't freeze in the intercooler. That's the only thing that I can think that might be for. But this is the stock intercooler, and you can see the significant larger volume of the aftermarket intercooler. So what I'm going to do is this intercooler here will literally just slide right up into the opening that we have. And when I was putting this together, one of the things I did is I made sure I had 2 1/4 inches of engagement on the charge tube connector, and I drew a little felt marker to make sure that when I put this all the way down, I was getting it down far enough so it just covered that marker. I'm also going to be upgrading the actual hose clamps that are used, and rather than using the GM style, or even the ones that were provided with the kit, I went and found some additional hose clamps that emulate the factory GM ones that have a spring-loaded tension. Because aluminum expands and contracts so much, these clamps can come loose. So having a clamp that allows for temperature change and still maintaining pressure on the tube, it will allow me to put a much more robust clamp onto the charge tube inlet here, and it'll allow me to be able to clamp that down nice and tight and make sure that it's not going to come loose. These are very good clamps, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to work for us. Okay, so that talks about what's going to happen with the intercooler. I'll come back to this once it's installed, but for our next episode we'll talk a little bit about the charge tubes and why you need to go with the larger, freer flowing charge tubes. Bye for now from Tim's Garage.